Right, good morning, everyone in courts today. I wanted to get on today and talk to you a little bit about some of the functions and duties of the defense counsel, this week's discussion board, and then run through some criminal defenses with you. So first of all, one of the functions of defense counsel is that defense attorneys are essential to the administration of justice. Okay, this is from the American Bar Association. This is dealing with defense attorneys. Defense attorneys have the challenge of being both an officer of the court and a loyal and zealous advocate for their client, meaning that defense, just like prosecutors are officers of the court, defense attorneys are as well, and there is some obligation to justice overall. The primary duties that defense attorneys owe to their clients are to advocate with courage, devotion, to ensure that constitutional and other legal rights of their clients are protected, and to render effective, high-quality legal representation with integrity. Now, this week's discussion board really kind of hits in at this point by talking about what you should do if you engage in an interview with your client confesses to the crime. This is not a unique situation for a criminal defense attorney to experience or be involved with. And there's always some concern about this. First of all, let's separate out kind of our ideas of morality and ethics, because here they are not the same thing. Your personal morality, what you believe is right and wrong, is different from what your ethical duty is, which over here is to advocate with courage and devotion for your client and to ensure that their constitutional and legal rights are protected. There isn't a clause in here that says defense attorneys get a pass if their client is guilty. So it's important to think about and note that you still have the same duty whether or not your client is guilty or innocent. And one thing that I wish your book talked about is this idea of procedural due process. So the idea behind procedural due process is that we can achieve justice and fairness by protecting the procedures and constitutional rights. So if we, as a defense attorney, go into court and advocate for our client and make sure that they have access to preliminary hearings and to an arraignment and that everything is followed in proper due course, that duty doesn't change whether or not the client is innocent or guilty. And furthermore, ensuring that even the guilty client is protected and has access to those processes is really important. It's a service to society. A similar situation would be to imagine a police officer. Police officer has a duty to protect and serve society. And police officers are sometimes in a position where they need to protect and enforce a law that maybe they personally disagree with. Maybe they personally don't agree with a state's marijuana prosecution laws and processes. That does not absolve the officer of the duty to continue to protect and enforce that law. Similarly, a police officer may be in a situation where they need to protect a victim from behavior where they were not entirely innocent, where they themselves had some culpability, they themselves put themselves in a situation where that led to this victimization. Just because the police officer disagrees with how the person became to be a victim doesn't mean that that police officer has a lesser duty to protect that person. So for criminal defense attorneys, it's similar here. The duty that they're giving to the criminal justice system and to society is important, and it's not diminished because the underlying client might be guilty of the offense. It's still important that even guilty parties have access to high quality legal representation, people who are willing to make sure that all the constitutional rights and duties are ensured. So I wanted to come in and touch base with you on this kind of issue of attorney-client privilege and actually going out and representing someone who's guilty. So And then I also just wanted to caution just kind of about the difference between ethics and morality here, because they're not the same thing in this situation. Because ethically, you would be violating your duty to not protect that client. Okay, so I wanted to talk to you about that. If you have any questions, this is our discussion board topic for this week, so you can post them there or you can email me. I also wanted to run through a couple of defenses with you from the PowerPoint slides. So, when a defendant is charged with an offense, they can raise what is called an affirmative defense, so to speak, which would look at, they say, yes, I may have committed this offense, but I should not be held responsible for some reason. And so some of these reasons are that the person was sleepwalking, so they may not have been able to develop criminal intent. Another reason is insanity, because I was not able to form this guilty mind. So even though I physically committed this action, I should not be held responsible for it for a variety of reasons. So all of these criminal defenses listed at the bottom of this week's PowerPoint slides all deal with different ways that a criminal defendant could say, while I did engage in this physical action, I should not be held responsible, because society should not punish me because I was intoxicated, therefore I did not have any ill will towards society, or because I needed to engage in this action because I needed to get my pregnant spouse to the hospital, so I had to break a law to do so. It was necessary for me to engage in this. So these are all different types of criminal defenses. Now, just jumping back into insanity, insanity, I wanted to really kind of emphasize again, you are saying I should not be held responsible for the action I committed because I did not have a bad mind, because I, in general, the insanity defense is very infrequently used, and you frequently are looking at someone who lacks the ability to understand the difference between right and wrong when it is successful. So someone who has a very serious mental illness that inhibits their ability to understand right from wrong can succeed with an insanity defense. The other criminal defenses listed here, I think, are fairly explicit, but the same thing goes here as with the questions about ethics. If you are looking through and you're not sure about something, please feel free to let me know. I'd be happy to answer any questions. I hope you guys have a good week and that you stay warm, and I look forward to hearing from you.